Hey everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Snapchat. Today I'm joined by Notmydance, someone who I've wanted to have on the Snapchat for the longest time, simply because I think that you are one of the most talented casters and presenters in the Snap space. I've seen you work the Golden Gauntlets, I've seen you do some casting and stuff, and I gotta tell you, it's been remarkable. I was watching as a fan, I was like, we've got to get them on the podcast at some point. How are you, and welcome to the Snapchat.
I'm doing well. I'm absolutely stoked to be here. It's an absolute honor. No, I like talking a lot. So casting, potting, or whatever you want to say in general, it works out in pretty well. So it's a lot of fun. I do just enjoy being able to talk about things that I'm passionate about. Marvel Snap's one of them, and I'm happy to talk about that with you today.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you have your own podcast for Marvel Snap, do you not?
Yeah. I do that with Tucker over on his channel, Marvel Yap, which. Yeah, we've been doing that for over a year now, I think, but it's been a pretty good time. I loved it. Love just talking.
Yeah, and Tucker's another fantastically talented player as well. So that's it's a great duo. Definitely, we're going to be linking that down below for everyone to check out as well. Because if you like this podcast, you probably like other podcasts related to Marvel Snap as well. So we'll share the love there. But it's great to have you. And as I say, with all the guests that join us for the first time, I would love to know your Marvel Snap origin story. You started somewhere. I don't believe you were in the early beta. So I'm kind of curious when you kind of entered the world of Marvel Snap and what made you decide to not only start making content for it, but what made you fall in love with the game in the first place?
So I'm always a sucker for an IP in general. I love those things can typically get me. I try to do that less nowadays, but back when Marvel Snap first came out, I was playing a different game called Clash Royale that just increased the monetization in a very unfun way, felt extremely pay to win, and so I was taking a step back from that. I was trying to play less of it, and then one of the creators that I watched play that game, they did a promo for Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap paid them to do like a 10-minute video on it, and I'm like, I like these characters. This seems interesting. I'll jump on it, and downloaded the game, and then immediately got sick for a week because I was on vacation in Florida, and they had a hurricane like the week prior or whatever, and so I wasn't supposed to drink the water. Spoiler alert, I did. So I was sick in bed and just played Marvel Snap for a few days to a week and became very familiar with the game pretty quickly. I had a blast with it and kind of just spiraled from there. I was streaming other things occasionally at the time, and then realized that the actual client would work. It was back when it was still vertical, and that was one of the biggest reasons I didn't want to stream it, because I was like, I didn't want to have to go through all the work of just cutting it all up together. But I realized I still was playing it when I was wanting to do other things, and I said, okay, this is probably something I should get into, and I don't know, here we are.
Yeah, that's kind of a similar thing that happened to me where, I've talked about it in the past, but my primary thing was I used to do variety content and stuff like that, but I started to focus more on Dota 2, Dota Underlords, which was the auto battler, kind of the less popular version of TFT. When the auto chess craze got popular, I was all over it and I loved it. And I was actually kind of the first launching points for my channel. And I was playing Dota 2 competitively. I'd been applying as a caster for the Invitational and stuff like that. There's a reason why you never saw me cast the Invitational. That's because I got absolutely addicted to Marvel Snap. And then what happened was, I remember talking to my wife, I was like, I had these opportunities coming up in the world of the Dota sphere. And I told my wife, I'm like, you know what? I just don't love that game as much as I used to. I just don't. And I feel like sometimes when I'm streaming, I'm going through the motions. But when I'm playing this Marvel Snap game, I'm having so much fun. I'm like, yeah, my viewership's awful. I only have 3 people watching me. But I kind of don't care. You know what I mean? I kind of just want to stream that. I can get better numbers streaming Dota 2, but I want to play some Marvel Snap. And then I just started streaming it, and this was in the summer, because what happened was when the game first got announced, I was super into Hearthstone as well. I loved it, and I was a fan of Ben Brode, and so I kind of just put my name in to the beta as anyone would. I got rejected from their creator program. Well, I mean, ghosted, I guess. I did apply to be a part of their creator program. They just ghosted me. And then I didn't get in on the first wave. I remember watching TLSG and Binks and everyone making content. I was looking through the window. And then finally I got in, and once I got in, it was about a month late compared to everyone else. I just couldn't stop playing it. I'm like you, I just when I didn't have to play Marvel Snap, I wanted to play Marvel Snap. And then the rest is kind of history, right? It really does do a great job of sinking its hooks into you. And actually, I got a fun story I got to share with you. So you guys know I'm a teacher and everything. And, one of my coworkers he's on the older side, right? He's like in his late 50s. And I know people in the comments will be like, "That's not old." I know. I hear you guys out there. I love you guys too. But yeah, he's in his late 50s, and like he had saw that I had a YouTube channel, and he's like, "I don't know what this Marvel Snap." Anyways, he installed it, and now he'll like wander into my classroom every once in a while and be like, "Hey," he's like, "What do you think of this deck? Like, how can I make it better?" And he's like collection level like 650, and like I'm like trying to help
That's
him like
awesome.
make a deck. It's so awesome because like he actually loves the game too, and now he's been playing it constantly for about a month, and now he's like, "How do I get all these cards you're talking about?" I'm like, "Oh God."
Cha-ching, use your mom's credit. I don't know if he still has access to his mom's credit card. You could just use that.
Yeah,
That's the best way to do it.
The most powerful card in TCGs, the credit card.
All of them. It's absolutely busted. Hopefully they nerf that in OTA sometime soon.
Yeah, hopefully that's the hope. But yeah, like it's just I don't know. I'm like you. I still love playing the game. Some things have started to kind of wear on me a bit. Like my desire to grind like through the ladder is kind of diminished. Like I find myself playing some more like conquest just to kind of play. I find myself not caring about like I don't know. I just the drive towards ranking like infinite or even getting into high infinite ranks. That just does not call to me as it used to. But I still love the game. I still like seeing things go boom. I still like seeing numbers go up. I still like seeing victory. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's still a game
It's
I
so
can't
good.
stop playing.
No, I feel like the Climb to Infinite, there's always like a negativity bias around it, right? But I feel like in general, the Climb to Infinite just feels rougher as time goes on because every single time it feels like people are getting better at the game. So if you try to snap and play the game optimally, then people retreat more is one thing I feel like I've noticed. Like back when the game started, people would be snapping on everything. You snap on the final turn, doesn't matter, who cares? But now I feel like everyone's better at the game. And so if you snap, people actually care a lot more. And so people retreat more, which means it turns into a game of Marvel Retreat more so than Marvel Snap. So like you said, Conquest. So once if I'm just getting retreated on turn one too many times, I'm like, you know what? Conquest people aren't just retreating immediately. They're stuck here with me. They're locked in a room. We'll play this out a little bit more there. It can be so much more fun in my opinion.
No, 100%. And like the whole retreat thing, while it has like obviously like there's a skill element to that. Like it actually adds complexity to the game, which I do appreciate. And like you don't want the Golden Gauntlet without retreating. But that's totally different than what like the ladder feels like right now. It feels like a mindless grind at times. It just isn't fun. And I think Marvel Snap needs to look at themselves and say like, what's fun? Is this experience fun? Is it engaging? Is it churning players out? Which it is, because they tell me in the comment section frequently, everyone that I talk to that's very casual, borderline laments the ranked ladder system. It's not good. It's not what they want. And one thing I will say is I don't know. I haven't snapped in like 6 months. Because if I snap, I don't get content because everyone leaves.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't care. I hope they snap on me. I almost want to throw the early turn so they can snap so then I can come back and win for extra cubes. I can't snap because they'll leave.
100%. No, I'll be recording or whatever. I'll stream and they're like, and I'll see someone in chat like, "This is where you snap." Like, yeah, this is where you should snap. If I do that, they leave. So I'm not snapping here. And then once in a while I'll forget and I'll still snap, and then they immediately retreat. And I'm like, this is why you can't do it. You can't snap apparently anymore in this game. But it's so difficult. Not even mentioning just that Climb to Infinite, the bots that you'll get, because you don't know if you get the nice bots that are meant to pump you, or you get the evil bots, which they say don't cheat anymore, but I swear it feels like cheating. They still feel like they cheat to me.
I love the fact that you and I use the term "they pump you" in completely opposite contexts. You're saying they pump you as in like they feed you cubes. When they're pumping me, it's the opposite. That's not the way I use the term. Like
are you getting
right?
pumped? You're getting pumped then?
But in the negative context.
In the negative context.
Yeah, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Slightly different. That's fair.
Slightly different is what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
it's rough. I don't know. At least you get the 500 gold for 90, and that's I think easy.
Yeah, of course.
Or easier.
Yeah, on the easier side. Yeah, I think that there has to be a balance struck between like the bots as kind of cube inflators to some degree to allow people that are putting the time in to just kind of like very easily kind of get towards infinite on an aggregate kind of month, as opposed to like, well, let's just take them out. Because you're right, there are still scam bots in there, and the bots seem to have a very wide range of like, this bot's the dumbest bot ever and it's going to play Nakia on turn 6, or like this bot is playing I don't know, what's a deck that could not possibly run like, I don't know, Shadow King, and like it's just
like a
running
Shang
Shadow
Chi,
King.
or
Yeah,
like a weird version of, like, the bots have a weird version of Mr. Negative that uses like Sunspot and stuff.
yeah. I've seen stuff like that where it's like, oh, they're playing, you know, Mr. Negative, and then they'll play like Shang Chi on me or something. I'm like, what the hell? This deck that's not in the deck. It's never been there, and I don't know. I wish I had a better example than just like, oh, they played Shang Chi on me, which could have been any number of actual real players. But I'm telling you, you know the feel when you're like, that's a scam.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
100%. No, if I get I've done it before where on the climb to infinite, because depending on your collection level, like bots always have like a collection level closer to you. It used to be a bug where it was like they were exact same as you, but it's typically closer to you in terms of collection level. And if the bot is, if I see someone who's too close to me to collection level, I'll just retreat because I really don't want to play against a bot. And if it's a bot that's meant to give you cubes or meant for you to get pumped, or I don't know which way you're saying it, but but a way that basically gives you more cubes, the bot, like, you'll get another bot. But if it's a bot that was meant to be like, oh, you took too long to find a match, and then they're going to beat you or play you in a much more aggressive way that it'll be a lot harder for you to get cubes, then you won't get one probably. So it's like you can try to game the system, but you have to play another game of, like, that's part of the reason why I think the ladder system is, there's a whole other thing there. But like the ladder system is flawed because it feels like you have to play another game that's not Marvel Snap in order to reach the goal of Marvel Snap, which is hitting infinite.
Yeah, it's like you got to play some macro game of like guess the robot sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally feel that. One thing I want to mention about the snapping and retreating, by the way, is one of the reasons why I almost never retreat is that I think a lot of people miss out on glorious wins. Like when you don't retreat and you force yourself to play through some things, you will surprise yourself with victories. And I'll tell you, some of my absolute best highlights, best videos, most well-received content that I make are when people are like, wow, he's down 3 locations and they snapped. How's he, like, this looks impossible. And either by virtue of them utterly misplaying, which is entirely possible, or by some miraculous means of chaos, I end up winning. Those are like the best videos, the best clips. They give you the best feeling. And if you're just retreating every single time, it's like you miss it. You absolutely miss it. It's like watching a movie and then just like turning it on, like turning it off, sorry, just as it starts to get hot at the end. You're like, I think this is like, what's it called? The hero has 1,000 faces, right?
Oh yeah,
the idea
it's
of like the story structure.
The hero's journey, where it's you have to wait till they fall, like their worst moment or whatever. Like that's
the
moment
deepest
that you
pit
like,
or whatever they
it.
call it. Yeah. Yeah, the deepest pit or whatever they call it in The Hero Has 1,000 Faces, The Hero's Journey, right? I think The Hero Has 1,000 Faces, that's the original book that inspired the hero's journey type storytelling, right? Anyways, I don't know. Someone who understands literature will actually. And that's like turning off like the movie every time that story like architecture hits its part, where it's like, oh, they're really sad, I'm out. You know what I mean? You don't actually see the great comeback, right? So anyways, that's my take there. But we've been rambling a lot. We got cards to talk. Do you want to talk about Marvel Snap cards, or do you want to just keep rambling?
Listen, this is your show. You direct me, and I will, like the air traffic controller. You tell me which way to go. I'll follow.
Well, I got good news, because we can ramble about cards as well, and we can ramble about Fang Foom, which, from my understanding, as I called you to start this podcast, you were actively still playing a Fang Foom game. I've never had that before. I'm like, hey, we're talking about the pod getting ready, and you're actively still playing Marvel Snap while we're discussing getting started for the pod. So we actually had to wait for you to finish your game before getting started.
Stuff too. I had time, but also I got to win with Fang Foom when we were loading. Yes, I really do like Fang Foom. I wanted this card in the game. I had first like talked about it with someone else like in 2024, like the summer of 2024, and the summer of last year, when it was first, like, there were data mines and such that were suggesting that dragons might be coming out. I actually DM'd Glenn, and Glenn Jones, who's one of the balance designers, whatever, of the game, and I said, hey, you can't confirm this, but if Fang Foom's coming in the game, if there's any way I could like do stuff for this card, because I'm just stoked about Fang Foom. For some reason, like, I've got connection. There's a show that I watched when I was a kid called Superhero Squad. It's such a kid show. If you know it, it was a dumb and fun show about Marvel heroes. But I just remember Fang Foom from that show just being like an absolute menace and being like in awe of his power. And for some reason, that name and that character is like stuck in my head. So Fin Fang Foom finally entering the game. Oh my gosh, I was so stoked for it. I think it's a blast.
I think it's the alliteration. It's definitely the alliteration. That's why it kind of sticks to mind. But for me, I think I mentioned this in the preview when we talked about it. I never knew about Fin Fang Foom until I played the Guardians of the Galaxy game on PC. The kind of recent one over the last couple of years, you can get it on like Steam for like $9 sometimes, and it's actually a great game. It's so good, and Fin Fang Foom's in it as like a boss you got to fight.
I actually saw a clip of it. I don't know if it's like how late you can spoil games or whatever, but like I think I remember seeing a clip of Fin Fang Foom, and I think something happens with Drax in there, and they just get really excited. I don't remember. I'm not going to say anything because I don't know what spoilers can be said, but I remember seeing a clip about it when I was just like thinking about. I don't know. One day I got bored and just started looking up Fin Fang Foom clips on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't actually remember what the context is, but it has something to do with Drax. I legit don't remember. I'm not even trying to spoil it or anything. It has something to do with Drax, and I think Drax is excited. I think they might be on Drax's home planet or something, and Fin Fang Foom's there. I don't know. Someone will
like
know.
An alien, right? I think.
I barely even know the lore of Iron Man, so like, I'm not the right one to ask.
Well, Iron Man's actually one of his most common enemies, I think. Which is a shout. I actually love that Iron Man is a really good counter to Fin Fang Foom. Because if Iron Man's in the front lane, Fin Fang Foom obviously can't gain any of his power.
Do you think that's intentional?
I don't know, but I hope it is, because I think that's cool.
I really like how someone at Second Dinner really has a pulse on like the lore of these cards, because a lot of the effects, well, some are totally random. Some of them really do like have a flavor for like what that hero does. Like I like the idea that Iron Man does the doubling of power because he's like inspiring those around him type thing. Like he's maximizing their potential. I like the idea that like Scarlet Witch changes the location chaotically. Like all those types of things are actually really cool. And obviously Legion being like an ultra powerful being changes all the locations. I think that's, I don't know. There's a lot of really cool touches like that in Marvel Snap.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, as most thematic characters, in my opinion, I think it's still Gambit, because it just discards a card to destroy a card. Even if Gambit always hits my perfect card every time, I think Gambit is the most thematic character.
Would most likely be the case. I would agree with that. I know. I mean, there's so many that are really good. So, and some of them that are like more deep cuts, right? That I think are like Apocalypse coming back.
Oh,
like always being eternal, like surviving every single time.
Apocalypse always doing that
super
every
cool.
single time.
Yeah, like I think there's a lot of examples.
Bruce Banner's also like I do really love Bruce. That's another really cool one, which is it's like extremely easy to see how thematic that one is, but also that's a really cool one.
Yeah, the idea that like he isn't in perfect control of his shapeshift type thing.
Yeah, it's sick. Sorry, we could talk about Fin Fang Foom. I'm distracted as well.
Yeah, I honestly really liked the card. I gave it a good review. I said it was absolutely worth getting. And I actually went on a limb in my review, which is only, of course, it was like a first day impressions review. I didn't actually think Hello was the best way to play it. And believe it or not, my idea was backed up by a 51% win rate on Helodecks. And Helodecks still being fun, but it was the Chamber War Machine style decks that really stood out for Fin Fang Foom for me, because there are so many avenues to getting him out as a natural turn 6 play without having to result to any shenanigans, where he just represents a massive amount of power on the board. And sometimes if that power is not necessary, like say you're like, I got to trade that location, I don't know if you're going to go into a location with Iron Man, but like, let's say they have a couple small cards there. You can still usually be like, well, I got the Infinite still. And Infinite's actually bigger in that lane than Fin Fang Foom. And Fin Fang Foom is bigger in this lane. So it gave some actual macro consideration I appreciated. But yeah, for me, I really liked the card and I thought it was best in War Machine.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's also a weird version of like a tech card, which I really liked, which felt like a tech card because it's kind of like just basically not destroying the power of the enemy cards at the front, but it basically is, gaining the power of them, which I thought was a really cool trade-off. And it also let me be able to feel like I could actually run armor in a deck and feel without having to feel like Shang Chi was a mistake, which is cool. But also, I think one of the places that I wasn't expecting most, but I really loved was High Evolutionary. I think High Evolutionary was one that I also thought was a really great place for Fin Fang Foom, because people were using, Majestic Wingbeat, you could use Luna Snow, Warlock, Superior Spider-Man. I even saw people running Shocker with Fin Fang Foom, which is a shock in and of itself. Card I just think is really awesome and pretty flexible.
It is. It feels like one of the first, I shouldn't say this because obviously Scar is a 7-drop. Of the 7-drops that, or even death. Never mind. I might have to walk this back. I was gonna say of the +6 cost cards, this felt like the most natural to feel like you can just play, but obviously like death and Scar have their, but they're being discounted, right? Like I felt like, well, even though Galacti's making a comeback, I felt like you had to really work for that to make sense. Where I feel like Fing Fang Foom, you don't have to work as hard for it. It makes sense as a 7 cost.
Honestly, I think you could just stick with your original statement. I think it's correct because the card is just like a really big card. And one of the big interesting things about the 7 cost cards that have no way to discount themselves is obviously you have to build a way to play it. But cards like Scar, Weapon H, Death, all those have built-in discounters. But Fin Fang Foom and Galacti don't, whereas Galacti still requires you to build a whole deck around it. And Fin Fang Foom's the first 7 cost card that is kind of just slot, like you can put it wherever you really feel like you want to place Fin Fang Foom.
Yeah, if you're a free-to-play player and you pull Fing Fang Foom and you're like, oh, I could just put him in my random deck of stuff I'm playing because I don't have all the cards or whatever, and I can take out Magneto and put Fing Fang Foom in and put in like a Luna Snow that I got from a pack or whatever. And he makes sense because he's not reliant on you building around him at all the way like a Galacti would be. So yeah, absolutely. And I will say that like in terms of the untapped based statistics, you are looking at like a 58% win rate in the top performing decks. Positive cube rates looking very good. Again, the Hella version running about a 51% win rate, and the War Machine ones running a 57 to 58% win rate. You even have like some Arnim Zola Manspider stuff running in the low 50s. Like lots of opportunities to play this card in unique ways. But for me, as long as War Machine is viable, I think Fing Fang Foom is viable and probably a decent investment. If you're looking for a card like Alex, should I get this card if I want to play War Machine? Yes, you can. My only concern is, do they go after that War Machine package? It's been a very consistent package in Marvel Snap ever since War Machine was changed from a 4 cost to a 5 cost. And it makes me wonder if they nerf War Machine, if Fing Fang Foom suddenly feels way worse because he's not seeing play in the other archetypes the same way.
I think you could still run Foom in a bunch of other places. Maybe not a bunch, but other places. But at the same time, I think even if they did hit War Machine, they're most likely just to bring it down a power or two. And I think that while the archetype will just lose a couple of points, I'm pretty sure it'll be still relatively playable. I think one of the best things about the War Machine deck is the fact that they legitimately, at one point, they said the buffing of Electro will continue until morale improves, I think. And so because they've continued to buff up Electro, cards like War Machine feel better, Fin Fang Foom feels better, like stuff like that. I just think that it'll probably be fine even if they do take a hit. Fin Fang Foom's a blast. I always like to say personally, if people like the playstyle of a card, get it, because Second Dinner will try to typically bring all cards to like an even playing field or whatever. So just because a card is, a busted card or a super weak card, if you like the idea behind the card, there's a good chance it will be brought to a even level. I mean, look at Noir, right? Spider-Man Noir absolutely sucked on a first release, and they brought it to it's not amazing, but it's also still completely fine right now where they went with the change that they did. So it'll be okay.
How dare you? Spider-Man Noir is one of my favorite cards in the game right now. I was going to bring him up on our surprises.
I'm not hating on it. I'm not hating on the card. No, let me make that very clear. I'm not hating on the card. I'm just saying that it was not received well in terms of like win rate competitively upon first release, and now it's even better.
It was awful. Yeah.
Yes.
The floor was risen so much higher.
Oh my gosh, it was
Spider-Man
so
Noir. Yeah. It's actually so fun. But yeah, honestly, the one interesting thing is that like Electro started as a 3/2. Now it's a 3/5. That's crazy. And actually, talking about thematic cards, we've seen a couple of like the older cards get buffed up. One that still doesn't see much play despite getting a bunch of buffs is Rogue. Rogue went from a 3/1 to a 3/2. Now she's a 3/3. Still doesn't really see play. People are going to use Enchantress over Rogue. Enchantress even making some of actually in the top performing War Machine deck. Enchantress is there. The 5/8 nerfed Enchantress, seeing more play than ever.
It's just a better version of Enchantress. Yeah. Well, the Enchantress and the War Machine are both actual buffs as well to, I think, Electro.
100%. Yeah.
Love this.
It's like the change by what's it called? Buff by association, where what's it called? Starbrand comes out and no one wants to play Starbrand, and then they're like, Starbrand's pretty good, but what if we made Sauron a 1 cost? And then all of a sudden Starbrand's like one of the top cards in the meta because now he's going perfect alongside a new Sauron, right? So yeah, that buff by association definitely happens. But I'm just kind of worried about Fing Fang Foom getting a nerf by association, because if this War Machine deck gets blown up by a balance patch, like I'm I know you're saying it's probably fine, but I think that on aggregate, it probably hurts like the people that invested in Fang Foom.
Potentially a bit. I feel like the card will still be fine after some time. I've honestly, like, I think the decks I've been playing least of it are both Ramp and Hella. Because I felt like those were, I don't know, I don't like typically going for the decks that are very obvious or whatever. I try to play stuff that feels weird, and just typically weird means bad, but I'll still play it because I have fun with it. And I think, I feel like Fang Foom will still be okay. Even if it does take a hit, I think that it'll still recover, and it will be, in the end, just an okay card that you can put where you want. Like, I don't know, a small hit to War Machine or something else of that deck, like Chamber going to a 2/2, I think will still result in that deck being extremely playable.
Okay, so on the Snapchat, we do star ratings from 1 through 5. 1 being absolute unmitigated filth, like Martyr on release. 5 being absolute bangers, meta warping cards, kind of like what Xiao Lao is, essentially. Where do you put Fang Foom on the 1 to 5 star rating?
Well, my own personal bias says to put it at a 6, but legitimately it's probably a 4.5, 4.
Yeah, I would say definitely a solid 4, yeah.
It's just good. Just does it does what it says, and it does it well.
Yeah, and it does not feel like a bunch of hoops to jump through either, which is nice. Like, it actually feels like a good card worth having in your collection, and it has a breadth of, like, it's not niche. As long as you can ramp into something, and even, like, it's funny you mentioned the high Evo stuff. It's like, even if you're running like Evo with like, well, I would play like Sable and Sunspot and stuff. Then you run like Supreme Spider-Man or Spider-Man Supreme. What's his name? That sounds like a Taco
Superior
Bell.
Spider-Man.
Superior Spider-Man. That's the card. That's the card. I don't know why I was thinking something else. Did I say Spider-Man Supreme? That sounds like a great card too. Yeah, I did say that.
It's okay. There's 19 million cards that all have the same name, and I'm pretty sure there will be even more that are the same thing. Which, this is technically the second version of Dr. Octopus, but you could also argue it's the third version or fourth, fifth version of Spider-Man. I don't know.
I love the fact that sometimes when I bring up lore stuff like that, there's someone in the comments who does like a huge paragraph of like a lore explainer, and I like commit to reading it. Like, I don't just like glaze over. I actually read it, and then I come out the end more confused than ever. Like, I become more confused by the explanation than anything else, which I think might be unique. That might be an Alex problem, but still, I think it's particularly funny. And talking about cards that already exist in the game.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the cards that got buffed by association.
Did this card get buffed by association?
Yeah, right, with the Coccia thing. They even mentioned that, I think, in the last OTA.
You're right. For the audio listeners, I have put Shang Chi, the Master of Rings, on the screen. The 3/5 that reads, game start. The 10 rings start in your hand. On reveal, unlock their potential. And you'll be thinking, Alex, what are these 10 rings you speak of? Well, my friends, I can answer that question as well. The 10 rings starts as a 2/1 that reads on reveal. Give one of your other cards here +1 power. And then once you unlock its amazing potential, very thematic mug you have there, by the way, the 10 rings becomes a 2/2 that reads end of turn. Give your other cards here +1 power. So it goes from a pretty mediocre 2 cost to literally one of the better 2 costs in the game. Like, pretty amazing effect, but you do have to unlock its power with Shang-Chi, the Master of Rings. I'm going to give you the floor here. I'll let you discuss what you think about it and your preliminary star rating in terms of like what you think it's going to land at.
So I think one of the biggest things about this card that I feel that people have talked about is the fact that the 10 rings do take up one of your draws, I think at the opening, on your like opening hand. So it makes it so you have a slightly larger deck, which means everything else that you do have in your deck, you have less likelihood to draw. And that includes Shang-Chi, Master of the Rings, which has been the biggest, I think, detriment to this card, which is, it's unfortunate. It's fine. I think this card will probably be okay. I don't think it's going to be as prominent as Fang Foom or Shu Lao or even Majestic Wing. Like, I feel like this card will probably just be okay. I like what it does and the cards that you can use with it, right? Like with Coccia. I feel like there's a weird version that a weird deck that I want to try that with like a surfer hybrid thing with this. And I don't know. But in the end, I feel like it'll be probably okay to just actually not at all. But I don't know, 2.5, 3 stars is probably where I'm going to be landing with this guy.
I was almost at like a 5-star rating, and then when I learned that it basically does the Quicksilver, draw scuff, I was like, no, like the card's so much more, like it's so much worse now. But not like that the card's bad. I just think that before it would have been like, maybe it would have been such a huge swing. If the first iteration of the 10 rings was simply a free card in your hand, that might have been so unbelievably good, like a completely broken card, that maybe it always had to be this. Because we'd be like, oh, look how good it is, and you get it, and you're like, wow, everyone's playing it against me. This feels awful. Like, this thing sucks. Like, how could they release it like this, right? Maybe this is what had to happen, but like, it definitely takes a lot off the card for sure.
It also hurts because I feel like there were versions of the rings that we had seen at one point, which were like also better. And so I don't know, like, again, data mines and whatever, you can look at those or not, but there was versions of the data mines which had the 10 rings, I think, as like an end of turn for their first ability that only buffed one. And then they changed it just to be an on reveal. And I don't know, like the card it felt like it was really powerful at first because it was going to like not take up one of your opening draws. It was going to be hitting a lot more stuff. It felt cool. And then it just got really heavily hit and it feels a lot worse now. I'm hoping it's still okay. And if it isn't, then my logic is, again, second dinner will buff cards that aren't good. And whenever that happens, I hope it'll feel at least better at that point.
And there's a ton of dials on this. Like, a ton of dials. You can dial the Shang Chi, which, I mean, it's already a 3-5. Like, I don't think you dial that. Like, making it a 3-6 like you did with Luna, which, by the way, I think is a nerf. Luna's 100% a nerf candidate. She should not be a 3-6.
Oh my gosh, yes.
She was changed to a 3-6 just so she was like, yo, someone play this damn card. Like, Secondar's like, this card's good. No one's playing it. Y'all cracked. Play the card. It's going to get nerfed to a 3-5, 100%, right? But anyways, that's a whole other conversation. But with Shang Chi specifically, you can buff Shang Chi if you really had to. You could change the way the card starts in his hand, which would be, very significant. You'd have power taken off Shang Chi. You can change the power of the actual 10 rings card. You can change how much it buffs. You could change how much this buffs, the power on this. Like, there are so many avenues for them to make adjustments. But what really stands out to me is that probably the best opening deck, like, I'm going to cope with Surfer for sure, and we'll talk about that in a sec, but it's so straightforward to see why with Sholao, that this is just a fantastic card, because you're going to want to play multiple cards per turn. You play Clea on turn 1, right? You can buff the Clea on turn 2 with the rings that come down, like the original ring, not this one, not the buff one. Hold on, I'm trying to find all the stuff here. I'm trying to manage a little too much here at once. And then we got, you buff Clea, you get the Flames of the Faultine to your hand, and then you can start playing those flames in unique ways. And then on turn 4, you can actually unlock the potential while playing the flames, all of which is pumping Sholao. So, like, I don't know. For me, it's like you have an amazing season pass card, which is definitely carrying the rest of these cards. Like Lockheed on itself, still convinced Lockheed's animation's a bug, whatever. You have Lockheed. Lockheed gets carried by Sholao. Sholao is carrying the entire meta. I don't see it being different for Shang-Chi. I think that 100% with the buffs happening to Clea's Flames of Faultine activating Sholao, you could end up in a situation where the best version of Sholao is going to have Shang-Chi in it. There is a chance that happens, but I don't think that, like, a Surfer deck with Shang-Chi will ever overperform what Sholao is doing.
Yeah, what current Sholao is doing is, I think, very good, and Sholao is a card that I think is a nerf candidate that probably won't get hit this upcoming week. Maybe it does, Copium, but it probably won't, and whenever it does get hit, I feel like a lot of the other stuff will get brought down or brought up as adjusted. But I do think that there's an interesting world where you can mess with a weird hybrid. I want to do a weird hybrid version of Surfer is the main thing I really want to mess with this card, where, like, you can use cards like Diamondback and Prowler and Lockheed and stuff and Hazmat, just to be able to do both afflictions with Clea and her flames, and also be able to, by the way, great variant, as well as just buff up the other cards that you want to with the rings, like like Captain Carter, like Maverick, like obviously Sebastian Shaw, that's the guy. Stuff like that, where it's just you can do a weird combo thing in terms of buffing up stuff and also hitting everything down. That's gonna be cool, and I hope it's a fun deck.
Yeah, there would certainly be a space for Surfer, I think, and you're right. You hit on all the big hits there, like Shaw, Brood, right? That like they're fantastic, right? Maverick is gonna love taking that extra power and then redirecting it to Shaw or Brood or whatever you want to do with it, right? Definitely 100%. But I don't want to gloss over how. Like you mentioned it before, the buff by association. They buffed Clea from a 1-2 to a 1-3, and the Flames is a -3 power. And as like you said, you might be able to actually cook with this with the Diamondbacks or something like that. Like I don't know if you can lean all the way into like an Affliction Ajax style deck, because I think that at the end of the day, like Hazmat will always just be a better activator. Like it's just easier to Hazmat, do like a even like a Malekith Hazmat style play. Because if Malekith pulls something like the Shang Chi, that kind of feels bad. I think it would anyways. But I don't know. I'm just kind of curious of what you're thinking about.
There's I feel like Hazmat's a good enabler. You could also mess with, and again, I mentioned the deck earlier, and it's going to get even better, I think, pretty soon. But with Evo, with using basically potentially a Cyclops in order to the evolved Cyclops, right? That does the -1 to 2 different cards. Like that's another one that you could potentially use, get the buffs up, and then you could also use card you mentioned earlier, Superior Spider-Man. That
you did it too. Yes,
it's not my fault. Your Kirkland shirt distracted me. But I feel like that's another fun place where you could be able to do interesting things with this card, because then you do have the built-in, necessity for it. But the other thing, I think the last other place that you could really look at with, or maybe not the last, but at least in one of the other ones that I don't think we've mentioned yet, would be Wiccan, right? Because it does give you a guaranteed card on 2. And if you throw a Quicksilver in there, you're guaranteed to have a hit on 1. And depending on how many 3-drops you have, you could still get some pretty big amounts of points on the board.
No, there's no question. I think that like, how do I explain this? I feel like this card is probably now going to underperform. I think that the first week of deck building is going to be fun and interesting, but I'm not convinced it's going to produce like a meta shaking deck until I feel like this could be a card like 3 weeks from like the release. Someone somewhere cooks an absolute beauty. And it's likely going to be some form of Clea, Affliction, Shang-Chi, Master of Rings based deck with Shulau. And then it's gonna cook, and people are gonna be like, damn, I should have got that card. I just think that it kind of blocking a draw, that's rough. It's a major change to the power level of this card. And they've discussed how like they've had like, well, just like Spider-Man Noir, these like quest-based cards. Now this isn't really a quest, but it kind of is. It's like a mini quest to some degree. It's a side quest. And sometimes the ask is not worth the reward. Like, you imagine going to World of Warcraft and you got to, kick 7 boars, and you go and you kick 7 boars, and like you get the reward. You're like, man, I had to travel all the way across Azeroth to do that mission, and you're giving me 6 gold or whatever it is. I don't know. Is that a lot? It might be. It's bronze, silver, gold. Yeah, that would have been a lot. No, you get like 50 silver. You're like, this is useless. What a waste of my time. And you're upset. And sometimes like that's what like some of the missions have felt like in Snap, right? And Spider-Man Noir was a great example of that. You're jumping through so many hoops, and if you pull it off, it's great, but usually you're not, right? The first mission card ever, was that Mr. Negative? Maybe? I'm not sure. But this one's still a mission card.
Like, I'm going to say Khonshu, I think, was one of the first mission cards out there.
You don't think like Negative is?
Negative just requires you to build your deck. That's kind of it. It's kind of just like the deck building requirement. Whereas I think with Khonshu had the thing of like, hey, discard this a bunch of times and discard something else in order to get a payoff.
Yeah, that you're right. Khonshu in the card itself is more of a mission as opposed to I have to build my deck with a specific mission in mind. I guess is which is what Negative fair. Is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting how so much more focused deck building has become nowadays, because I feel like, I don't know, like a year or two ago, when you first look at a deck that has like a bunch of different combos or whatever, you're like, okay, this needs to focus, obviously. But back when we were first playing or whatever, you'd be like, okay, cool, yeah, you've got all these different outs, you can play with all this stuff. But as we get more and more cards that really focus what you're trying to do with each and every deck, it really makes it a lot harder to, just play a spread out strategy, play to multiple outs. Because why would you do that when you could get all these other payoffs? Why would I try to play, at weird payoffs with Shang-Chi, Master of the Rings, when I could just, put in just the other good cards with there. Like Clea will be, I think, phenomenal with this. You have the chance for both Maverick and, like you said, you also have the chance with Sebastian. It's just Brood, all this stuff that just feels like it would work already. It's going to be interesting how much narrower this card really becomes.
You touched on one of my biggest frustrations in Marvel Snap as a whole without even realizing it. And I should have brought it up before. Like, you touched on one of the things that I feel, but I have a hard time articulating. Playing to your outs. It's something I do I play way too many card games. I play Riftbound, I play Magic, I played Lorcana. I cannot wait for Cyberpunk's TCG. I play way too many card games. Marvel Snap,
Star Wars
Hearthstone. Heard about that too. You think I'm not excited about that? Hell yeah, I'm excited about that. Playing to your outs is a core part of your strategy when you're playing those games. But do you know why in Marvel Snap no one cares about playing to their outs? Because they retreat.
Yeah.
Why play to your outs? Why even have a strategy of playing to your outs when you can just retreat?
Yep. Conquest is a really cool game mode. It's honestly what makes me also miss the new version of Deadpool's Diner, where they have like the one-sided snapping.
Asymmetrical snapping is cool, yeah.
How would you feel if that was like on the ladder?
You know what? Someone mentioned this in like the creator Discord at some point. And I think like I don't quite remember the response, but it was kind of like from a second there was kind of like a like not a no, not a yes, but a like a beard twirl, like not a bad idea.
You know, they're not answering, they're not saying anything back, but they're also like, we acknowledge you, we just won't say anything here about that.
Yeah, very interesting idea. I honestly, I don't know. I think that so game modes I think are fascinating because they can experiment with things like that. And I think that the newest version of Deadpool Diner was largely way better. Well, it also had the crazy rewards and stuff, so it's kind of easy to love it for that reason, which I'm still convinced was a mistake. Some intern somewhere got canned because of that. There's no way they meant to give away like 10 borders a day. But anyways, I think that like game modes are a great spot for them to test stuff like that and gauge response, and you look at their internal metrics and see how people respond, get the feedback from Reddit and from their communities and stuff. But I'm not against it. I just think that retreating, as someone who plays way too many card games, I have cardboard everywhere. It really does take an element out of what should be I'm going to come back. I'm going to make it like a momentous comeback. My opponent is going to cry as I make this miraculous victory happen from nothing. And people just don't even give themselves a chance because they just retreat. We're not even talking about Shang Chi anymore. We got to move on to the next topic, I think. Do you want to talk about some of the major surprises?
Sure, yeah. I'd be happy to talk about some of the surprises this season. There's a lot of fun stuff.
There are so many cards that have honestly been tremendous surprises, and a lot of them are cards that you definitely have in your collection. I shouldn't say that. I just baited engagement because there's going to be a lot of people that don't have these cards.
There
actually.
You go. It'd be a shame if everyone commented right now all the cards they didn't have that I was about to show off right now. That'd be crazy if everyone below commented that.
And it's, I'm such a clown. The reason what baited me to say that was because we've brought up this card a bunch of times already today, but I have to talk about the reemergence of High Evolutionary. And it's because it's such an old card. I was like, you definitely have this card, but it is a Series 5. It's a Series 5 still. I think we've now hit the point where there's more Series 5 cards than Series 3. I think we've crossed that threshold.
Recently hit it, if not, we're hitting it very soon. Yeah.
Yay. It's like, are we supposed to celebrate that? I don't. Are we supposed to laugh or are we supposed to cry?
It's more cards. I don't know. Did you? Who was it? I think I saw on. It was Glazer Hogan. Someone did a thing recently, or a while. I don't remember where, but like they talked about all these cards, and apparently with Snap Packs, you can get, if you're buying, I think the season pass, you can become Series 5 complete just over time. Apparently, someone did all the math on that stuff, and you can just by buying the packs, because there's like guaranteed. Apparently, like if you miss enough times on those packs, you're guaranteed to get a certain, like a Series 4 or 5 or whatever after a certain point. So you can get more and more of those like cards for just basically for free. Eventually getting out to it. Like it's not as bad as Nexus events, because I was never there for that, but I saw people talking about it. It's not as bad as I didn't like the Spotlight cash system because I rolled low on those so many times. I don't know. I do like this system, but also, sorry, I got distracted as I do. High Evolutionary is a really cool card. Sorry, I get so distracted.
It is. It is. Yeah, High Evo is fantastic. And I'm trying to think about, like, I got to hunt down where the math is done. Usually if math is being done, I go to Lauren's Twitter first.
I'll see if I can find it and send it to you after this. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, so High Evolutionary is actually legit now. And to the point where it's okay. It's only seeing still like 3% of the meta share. But in my top decks of the week, I gave it number 2 under Shao Lao. I think it's really good. You have variants of it running like 58% win rates upwards, right? On aggregate, like the most popular versions with a 3,100 sample size on Untapped is running a 56% win rate, 0.32 cubes, very positive. And what you're seeing here, though, is those buffs to like Misty Knight, Shocker, Cyclops, like they all got buffed. And it's funny because I actually had someone comment like, well, Alex, like, Abomination's kind of the key part of those decks. If you're playing Scorpion and everything, Abomination didn't get buffed. Like, why is it? Because Abomination was actually low-key always really good. Like, it was always really good. And now you have the Hulk that's a 614 too. I actually forgot about the Hulk. Hulk is a 614, right? Like, there are so many reasons to play High Evo. Like, this card, Wasp could probably get brought back to her original form where she does -1 to 2 cards. But they buffed pretty much everything here. It's been so long since I got to see the Shocker animation, though. Right? It's so good. There you go. And
I think Thing's another one who could probably get a bit of love. Could go back to his like first ability or whatever.
Perhaps, yeah.
These cards are fun. Nah, it's such a good. This is if there's ever like a deck I recommend for newer players, it's always High Evolutionary because you have most of the cards in this deck as like starting cards.
Yeah.
So this is just a great pile because you could just basically run all the cards that you already have, and then you just get to play a full, basically functioning deck. So, I mean, High Evolutionary is also just so much fun.
Yeah.
So cool.
And for what it's worth, the version of the Thing, because it used to, like, it was a 4/6 and it got changed to a 4/7, but it was a 4/6 that could afflict one card 3 times. Now it spreads the power, which sounds like a nerf because they have to have 3 cards for it to get the maximum power out of it, but it actually makes it better for Abomination because you're spreading the negative debuff, which discounts the Abomination more effectively. So it's like a nerf buff. And one thing that's, okay, I always talk about it, the High Evo decks. High Evo is one of my absolute favorite archetypes in the world. Low-key absolute winner in those types of decks is going, apparently I can't type, Nebula is amazing. And the reason why Nebula is so good in these decks is because you play Nebula and it encourages players to play into that location that you then follow up with a Cyclops and you have targets for the Cyclops to pew pew. The only thing with Nebula right now is you're seeing lots of Shulao with Kitty Pryde, which is getting popular because of Kitty Pryde. Athena variation of Shulao is kind of getting big. And Kitty Pryde takes a massive dump on Nebula.
She really does. It's very unfortunate, but it also gives you a really cool way that you can play to your outs. Oh, what was it? It was in, I feel like it was Sanctum Showdown or some game mode recently that was I really liked being able to use. Oh no, it was the Team Clash one where we had the Guardians deck. I loved being able to use both Nebula and I also used Viv and Adam Warlock as ways to be like, all right, cool. Don't play to these locations. Like I'd stack all of them in one spot, say, don't play here, please. And then they would, and I'd just be able to use the cool Guardians, which were better than the current ones that we have in the game. And yeah, Nebula is an awesome card. It's forever ago that I feel like she was busted, but now we just have so many more options for 1-drops.
For fear of stealing these cards are cool surprises, I'll allow you to throw a couple out here.
I feel like I don't even know how much of a true surprise in the end it is, but I'm just continually shocked by how good Ham has felt this season. Spider-Ham?
Yeah.
Spider-Ham feels like a card that I don't even know how much of a surprise it is because I feel like this change happened a bit ago. But I think this season he really came into his own and has felt absolutely just like a powerhouse to deal with because it's just, maybe it's more like we have more skills or spells or whatever. And so it just does hurt so much more that he just has character. But gosh, I'm so tired of a winking.
It's hilarious. I almost wish that like because you have to click on the card to see it's gotten oinked. I liked when it just turned into the piggy. I don't know why they ever changed that. Like the piggy used to be front facing, now the piggy's on the back, which is kind of weird.
So,
but
apparently, for what it's, I don't know if you saw it, Griffin actually talked about that very recently inside of the Team Answers area. He said that it should always be doing the pig, but it's a bug right now, I think, where it only does the pig if it hits a base version of the card. But it should be doing it to all cards. Yeah. You just talked about that. It was like Spider-Ham should be changing the art to a pig on all cards, but there is a bug where it only affects base card art right now. A fix is scheduled for a future build.
Oh my gosh. Are you telling me that Marvel Snap has bugs?
I know you may not be aware of this with, I don't know, try activating anything, try playing Mysterio with any new card. Just
try clicking on other people's cards. The game just dies.
Well, try clicking on the game for that matter, or out of it for a bit.
Yeah, try doing anything. Try playing a card. I'll try to end your turn. It might, like, literally every single video I release, it's filled with me encountering bugs. Like, usually me getting kicked out and me, like, rejoining the game. There was a game where, like, I literally couldn't end my turn. And my opponent's like giving me like the miss minutes. I'm like, I can't, like, I'm clicking it. It's not, there's no way for me to end my turn. So I just kept roping. And of course that ended up being one of the highlights for the video. And I had to be like, just so you know, I'm not roping this person to be a clown. I literally cannot end the turn. Like, I'm sorry, right? But I came back with Spider-Ham with Aurora. I was playing Aurora,
yes.
And it's an activate, inexpensive. And any card that does like the +2 buffs to multiple things, having multiple small cards everywhere, it disproportionately benefits from that +2, right? So I wanted inexpensive cards. Spider-Ham works perfectly. It's one cost. Then for end of turn, I had stuff like Marvel Boy. So yeah, Spider-Ham 100%. Hit us with another one.
I don't even know how much of a we're further in the season, so it's not a surprise anymore. But if you told me last month that 2026 would start off with Scarlet Spider dominating the meta, I wouldn't have believed you.
You know what? This is, for me, the biggest miss. I did not fully someone mentioned it to me. It was not in conversation. Someone in the comments had said, yo, Shou Lao and Scarlet Spider, though. And I remember reading that and be like, yeah, that's probably pretty good. Unlikely to be the best deck in the game, but seems like a pretty good idea. And then sure enough, I'm like, then like literally after playing Shou Lao and waiting, I don't know, 30 minutes, I was like, oh, why didn't I make the Scarlet Spider synergy is so good. And you have Jocasta as well. It's like, why did I just glossed over it, but there it is. Like, there's the best deck in the meta. And it's just like, it was right in front of you and you just didn't even notice. Damn it, Alex, you got to pay more attention.
That's the cool part. Like, listen, there are 5 million bugs that exist in this game, but that's a really cool thing I do love about Marvel Snap and like the bounce team behind it. They take cards like Scarlet Spider, who have existed in the worst place since release, and all of a sudden make them a meta dominant card, you know, a year or two after they first come out, and is just like, oh yeah, cool, this card's amazing now. And you're like, oh, really? I just think that's cool. I hate it, and it's cool.
That's exactly the same thing. Not for Mr. Well, I'm just clicking on stuff by accident. That's the exact same thing for Domino. Domino, like you're talking about a card that was completely useless. Quicksilver makes a comeback with Wiccan, but still, even then, you're like, no, Domino's too garbage to play. Even if you want Wiccan, just add more 2-drops. Now, unironically, Domino seeing play as a 2/4, right? I actually don't play much Domino. I still have a hard. Maybe it's because I'm so old school. It's like I can't play Domino. I want to draw cards eventually, right? Like you got to draw cards eventually, right? But yeah, that's a great example of aging like fine wine, as we like to say around here. I can throw one out there.
I think you should.
Okay, I mentioned when I actually pitched this topic to you, I was like, yo, I want this topic just because I want to talk about one specific card. It's Dragonlord, man. Dragonlord is running a 13% meta share as a free-to-play friendly release, released in a game mode, and at worst, it was 800 gold in what you played 3 games to unlock it, right? If you really didn't want to engage with game mode much. This card is actually really, really good. And I was playing Fang Foom with a Electro ramp deck with Dragonlord in it. I actually had Grandmaster, so I could Grandmaster the Dragonlord because I thought that was hilarious. And it was really fun when you have a whole bunch of chunkies in your hand. But long story short, Dragonlord is probably, of all the cards this season, the biggest surprise for me. Because this was a card that most people were like, whatever, who cares? It's kind of poo. Who cares about that limited time game mode card? Look at all these series. Look at Shang Chi. Look at Dragonlord. This card is sick. I love it.
No, this also just feels like a card that when I first read this ability, I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't just on like a base card, right? I guess we kind of have it with who is it? The Infinity Ultron has it on his green stone, so we've kind of had it for a bit, but not like actually is like a real card you could play. And it just makes perfect sense. Like, why wasn't this in the game already? This feels like a card that if I opened the game as like a, I don't know, my very first time playing it back in 2023 or beta times, whenever that was, this would just be a card I expect to see. It just has a very simple text, nothing complicated. You just get it and you're like, okay, yeah. And it's just fun.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a really good, legit card. And again, like Fang Foom, I think benefits from the fact that, honestly, War Machine ramp is really good. Like, pulling this from a Jubilee is kind of wild. Like, Jubilee into Dragonlord into pull is kind of fun. I like the idea of, like, you can even blink this, honestly. Pull Fang Foom, pull Infinite, whatever. Like, there are so many cool things you can do with this card to the point where it's like, basic text, Series 4, limited time game mode, borderline, like, everyone's, like, just glossing over it, might actually be one of the most meta relevant cards released. Like, there's a good chance that come 2 months from now, people aren't talking about Lockheed. They're still upset about the nerf to, Sholao, but they're still playing Dragonlord. This might be the card that actually survives the season in terms of its meta relevance long term.
No, I definitely think it will. Like, this feels like a card that is just, it just feels completely fine. It doesn't feel like it needs to it just feels like a very, I don't know, just like classic. It's weird that this is the first time I've seen this card, right? First season, but I also already want to say this is just a classic Marvel Snap card, right? This just feels direct, like one of the most at-home cards in the game in comparison to, like, if you try to look at Zombie Galacti's text, who now has like 4 lines because it's so many words, you just can't see it really, like, or read it anymore in comparison. It's just, God, I just like the card. It's cool.
One thing I will say that really bothers me about this card, is that's not a mask. Like, I understand that, like, I'm relatively new to comic books and everything, and I'm just starting to catch up with reading comics books. I'm reading, Alpha Flight. I'm reading, the House of X and everything. But, like, This guy's like, oh, I'm Dragonlord, but I got to keep my identity. I'm going to put, like, 4 lines across my face, and maybe no one will know who I am. Like, this is, I don't know, man. Just come on. A little more effort on the face mask, I think, would have been beneficial.
It worked for the Incredibles. It could work here. Right, the Incredibles. You look at them just as like, if you just saw them from behind, you'd be like, oh yeah, cool, that's the Incredibles. You turn around and they're not wearing masks. You're like, I don't know who that is. It's the Superman thing, right? He puts on his glasses. You have no idea it's Superman, not Clark Kent, or whatever, vice versa.
It's true. That's right. The Incredibles. That's right. It's like, oh, that's just my insurance salesman or whatever. And then it's like, wait a minute, yeah, it's Mr. Incredible. I have one more, but is there another one you wanted to mention?
I don't even know if it's a surprise, but I like the card. I like Kitty Pryde, and it's not a surprise that it's been amazing with Shulao, right? That's what people were thinking about. But it's also just a really cool card that I've enjoyed for a while, and I'm happy that that she has come back in any way, shape, or form.
No, absolutely. I love this card too, and it was funny with Cam. We were kind of like lamenting over how the original Kitty Pryde on first release, where you got to actually pull her back to your hand and she gave +2, and it was so broken. It was so stupid. But yeah, Kitty Pryde's great.
Yeah, that was the one that was just broken entirely, right?
Yeah, like it actually brought the game to its knees. Yeah.
Yeah, I never got a chance to play. I never even got the chance to play with that one. I actually remember I don't remember when this card released, but I actually remember watching your VOD of your stream, because I was like, I never got to see this card. What does this do? And I don't remember what your reaction was, but I just remember you just busting laughing with this broken card.
Yeah, so back in the day, when Kitty Pryde broke Marvel Snap, it's like when bugs got fixed. They're like, oh, we got to take that out of the game, and then the game stopped crashing. Now it just crashes, and crashing is part of life, man. Like I was trying to play Marvel Snap on my phone. I don't know if you guys know this popular phone game. It like will lag so bad. I'm like, bruh, like my phone's not that old. It's a Pixel 8 Pro, like. And it lags to the point where I'm like, yeah, I can't even play. I restart my phone, it still lags. Then I realize that like it's actually low key like downloading assets, but
yes,
doesn't really tell you. This. I'm like, come on, man. Like I just, the amount of people that would just be like, what is wrong with this game? I can play like Elden Ring on my phone and it not lag like this. Obviously, there's no Elden Ring port, but you know what I mean, right? It's just Marvel Snap's performance and the bugs. They gotta fix it, man. It's so rough.
I want them there. I feel like there used to be a thing, right? At the bottom of your screen, it would say like downloading assets or whatever. Like it'd give you like a little bar that like went through as time went on. And I don't see that anymore. And I feel like I don't know what happened to it, but I remember that bar being there whenever like a patch would happen because you re-download a bunch of assets. They fixed it somewhat there, but like, I don't know, just give me a button to download everything there just so I can leave my phone for a moment. I know it's just downloading stuff so it stops lagging because as soon as that happens, I've seen enough other people deal with it where like, okay, I just have to stop playing it for a second. But that sucks. Who wants to stop playing a game because of that? Like whenever an update happens on the actual like client on the computer, what I do is I have to scroll through it. I like turn all the like the cards super tiny, and then I scroll through all of them super fast so it forces them all to load. Then just walk away from my computer because it just needs to load up. I just wish there was a button to load everything so it stopped that lag.
There are so many bugs, man. There's so many bugs. Yeah. And I'm just saying that like a card game should not lag a like 2-year-old phone into oblivion to the point where a content creator's like, yeah, I can't even use my phone to play the game. It's pretty rough. The last one I want to shout out here, which I know people are going to be like, are you coping? But I'm not. Because if you actually dig into the stats, if you really dig into the free-to-play stats and some of Ultron unironically has a pretty solid win rate. You're talking like a 55 to 56% win rate. He is surprisingly playable because there are variations of Ultron that'll just run like Ultron Patriot with like Misty Knights and stuff like that. And it's surprisingly good. It's one of those things where like we often forget that like he did get buffed. The drones are 1/2s. Technically you have Patriot got buffed as well. But I think that's Ultron realistically is actually probably a relatively good viable path for free-to-play players to get a decent deck to climb towards Infinite.
Oh yeah, Ultron is an absolutely great deck. For one, and one of the nice things about the deck is that it also like bots if they notice how much the board is currently winning, and so if you're just getting everything ready for an Ultron, they oftentimes don't realize that, and so they will like snap you and be more aggressive, and you could just drop an Ultron and sweep the board in the final turn. They're not ready for it. But in addition to that, it is if you play it into a lane and you've got all the other spots that are empty, this is a 624 if I'm not mistaken, right? Because that's just 2 points in each of the spots, not even counting Patriot, Mystique, Ultron, was it Blue Marvel, Kazar, who's probably I think the worst card out of all those ongoing. Like just it's a lot of points. It's really good. People should definitely be using this guy, but we just don't because we like looking at the new shiny thing, even if it's going to be Shang Chi Master of the Rings. Which, by the way, what did you rank that card?
It's funny. I was leaning like 4.5 prior to the confirmation that it now stuffs the hand. I'm like, I want to say that I bet you it'll end up at a 4, but like an unenthusiastic 4. Like I think Fang Foom is probably ultimately going to be a clearer victor, but I feel like Shang Chi will still likely find a place, and if we can make that Clea interaction work or that Surfer interaction work, I'm less convinced Surfer is going to be the place, but if we can make that Clea interaction work with Shou Lao, then I would suspect it's probably going to be meta playable. But the question then becomes, will Shang Chi overperform the best versions of Shou Lao? Probably not, because the best versions of Shou Lao are unlikely to play Shang Chi, so it'll probably fall to the Wade side. So I think that as a card, it's likely to be in like the 3 to 4 star range.
Yeah, it's fair. I feel like maybe you said it earlier. I just didn't remember it.
I don't think I said it, honestly. And that's going to take us to the Snapchat mailbag, because we got a couple questions here, and I think they're pretty interesting. The first, Notmydance, is from Chris Dove, who says, how about making Master Mold an end of turn? Add a Sentinel to your opponent's hand. I've been an advocate for making adjustments to Master Mold. I liked the idea of Master Mold getting buffed for every Sentinel in the field of play, but if you want to add a little more end of turn hotness to Marvel Snap, this might be a way to do that.
I feel like if it was with like Adam Warlock, right, or if you're winning here at the end of the turn, you do that. I feel like that could be fair. Otherwise, it feels very good, like potentially way too good. But I'm down for Master Mold being more playable. It can be a rough archetype. This was from the super expensive bundle, right?
Why do you gotta shame me like that? This is when
hey,
I was like, I don't want to spend the money.
Yeah,
I don't want to spend the money, but like, it was a Kim Yacinto at the time. I was like, I just got to. And at the time, there was exclusivity too. Like they didn't have the collector's a vault or whatever the hell it's called, and that's so
that's
like
where
I don't
you
want to
got
miss this,
card
man.
from, right?
Is it? That's where you. Yes, that's where I got it from.
Yeah, because you
I
would
didn't
never
pay
be a
$140
bundle
Canadian
buyer.
for
You
it.
would pay no, pshaw. No,
$156 Canadian plus tax. I did not do that.
Did you do the thing where you could download how much money you spent in the game? You see
did.
that people were doing that?
I did. I looked at it. It wasn't as bad as I thought, but it's also bad. But like,
Yeah,
I know friends who are content creators that have done way worse. Way worse.
I'm scared. I haven't done it yet. I don't know if I ever will, but I'm terrified of it. I don't want to see that. Anyway, if it's end of turn where it's like if you're winning this location, add a sentinel to your opponent's hand, I think that'd be a very cool idea. I think that'd be probably a fair place. It would probably have to lose its 2/3. It probably would have to be a 3/3 there, but it's a cool card. I would like it.
They're probably waiting, honestly, to see how Dragon of the Moon shapes up, to see if, like, they did buff this significantly, and if this isn't good enough, then maybe they start looking at the supporting characters to see if an archetype of like this Ronin hand generation disruption makes sense, right? Because this is technically help for Master Mold. It's buffing by association, not my dance.
It's the problem with this card is you have to run so many bad cards for this to be good.
Are you telling me that Master Mold is bad? Are you telling me that Baron is bad? Come on. What kind of cope is this?
I saw those, you know, they do the new season video, whatever, and I saw like great cards to work with Dragon of the Moon, Master Mold, Baron Mordo. I've never tuned out of a conversation. So yeah, Crystal. Yeah, like okay, cool. These meta relevant Titans. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm definitely doing that.
I mean, Crystal's way dumber than even Baron. Like, Crystal doesn't even make sense. But, like, you could make the... Like, unironically, do you remember how you used to, like, draw the card into their hand with Baron?
Yes.
Actually better with Dragon of the Moon because you get a 6 cost drawn into their hand that you can then steal from.
The worst, or not even worse, but, like, the most copium thing I think I saw with Dragon of the Moon was people playing Wave, and then rather than using a big card, then they just play Dragon of the Moon.
I don't understand why anyone would
because
do
it makes Wave would make it everything else 4.
Oh, I see. That's actually hilarious. That's actually not, not crazy.
Yeah, but I tried using Ravona with the goblins as well because that also turns them into even costers. It wasn't good either, but it was, yeah.
All right, at least that's cooking. This will Master Mold. We got to bring up Master Mold once in a while. Yeah, we got to bring Master Mold up once in a while. This next question from Targeting says, "Hey Alex, mailbag question for you. Do you think the Snap team will release a draft mode this year? If so, are there any features you want to see with it? I've always loved playing Hearthstone Arena and wanted something similar for Snap. I've taken a break from playing Snap, so I've been out of the loop for some months now, so I'm hoping the game is improving." Two things I want to mention on my dance. One, the amount of people that tell me they're not playing, but they still watch Snap content is remarkably high. I think you have a lot of fans out there, second dinner, that like love your game, but they're just waiting for the next phase, the next iteration of Marvel Snap to wow them because they want to come back, but they need a reason to come back. As for the draft mode, one can certainly hope that 2026 is the year of Marvel Snap Draft. We've even hinted on the Snapchat in the past for like some cards, like these dual effect cards, like Wild Child and stuff like that, almost set up like an opportunity to be better in something like a draft mode. I certainly hope, and as to what features I want to see, I just want to see the mode. I hope they're cooking because I would love to see a draft mode in Marvel Snap.
It's so I want a draft mode, but I think that one of the things they said forever ago about draft mode is the thing I feel like I most agree with, where it's like we want draft mode, but we also want to make sure that it's an interesting mode. It's not just something that's just cool. We threw some stuff just as a draft thing together, which like there are websites that do that and they're fine, but I understand wanting to put more polish in the game. I feel like the biggest thing if they did a draft mode, and it's a weird thing to want, but I hope that if they do that, you know how some of the game modes let you draw like 2 cards a turn or whatever. I hope in the end it lets you draw your entire deck for the most part, or maybe just like 1 or 2 cards not, because I want to use more of those drafted cards because for one, you're going to have less cards that work together, so you're going to want more things. And for 2, I also do just want to be able to like use those cards that I'm going to be drafting. I don't want them just to have to sit there in the deck or sit there and never draw them because I don't know, if I try to play with a new card on release day, that's the one time it decides to hide in my deck for the first like hour of gameplay or whatever. Just loves hiding from me for some dang reason. But I don't know, that's the thing I feel like I want most out of it is just give me just a lot of options to use and play these cards if we're drafting them, if I'm spending the time doing this. which is, I don't know if that's a weird thing to ask, but that's where I've sat with it.
No, not a weird thing at all. I mean, like thinking about it, there's a couple things. Like I wonder, like first of all, I think that one of the challenges is that like they see feedback from like High Voltage Overdrive, which has like a mini draft mode kind of in it because they give you random cards, and people are like, cards don't matter, like everything sucks, these decks don't matter, blah blah. So like the people say they want draft mode, but at the same time they don't like the randomness of getting random stuff. So that's one thing, but obviously draft mode and High Voltage Overdrive, very different things because there's no player agency, right? There's no agency in the High Voltage Overdrive, whereas there's agency in what you're selecting. Giving this a lot of thought, like I wonder if like, oh man, because no one wants to play like suboptimal bad decks necessarily, but at the same time, I wonder if there's like a route where it's like almost like a roguelike, like, you know, you win a game and then like you can transmog cards into like more synergistic pieces. And the further you imagine like in imagine like Infinity Conquest, and as you go up the conquest ladder, you're able to like transmog cards, like open another pack and transmog your deck. So you can actually make it more synergistic over time. Like it starts scuffed, but then you get chances to improve it over as you kind of move on. That could be fun. Or you can like draft packages, right? You could draft like an Annihilus package. You can draft a debuff package with like Hazmat, Malekith, Ajax. Instead of doing individual cards, you draft these packages and then you merge the packages together. There's ways they can do it, I think.
There's also the whole thing of like, you have to have enough energy because in the way that everything will be balanced, right? Typically you want a few different one drops and you don't want as many high end cards, but there are a lot of high costed cards in this game. And if you've got too many, then you can't play them. And so that's good. I feel like that's a whole other thing where it's like, okay, cool. You just draft a really bad deck and now you have to have all these high cost cards you can't play. I like the shout though of like being able to change the deck as it goes on, like doing a mini Infinity Conquest thing, as Conquest is, right? It's a game mode where you retreat to, you hide to if you're tired of people retreating, but at the same time, it really feels like one of the most underdeveloped areas in Snap. I say that as we talk about all the other bugs everywhere. I heard a comparison once online where it's like Conquest mode feels like a project that someone else at the company was working on, and then that person left the company and no one else wants to take hold of that project anymore. And I feel like that's just where Conquest is nowadays. It's just, and we get all these cool different game modes, like even draft at some point, which would be awesome if it came in 2026. But I don't know, it's so unfortunate.
Conquest mode out, draft mode in, Conquest tickets changed to, or draft mode tickets in the collection track. Problem solved. Like, honestly, because I don't want Conquest tickets. Miss me with that crap. I still don't open my boxes because I don't want to see those stupid tickets. If you're going to give me those tickets, make them worth more than like 5 boosters, please. Because like it's borderline insulting to open those. I don't, it's so frustrating. But anyways, yeah. Honestly, if you want like arena tickets or something like that, put them in the backs. Get rid of the Conquest because Conquest is dead weight.
What if those gold tickets were just like they worked for any game mode? Like those game modes that all have tickets? What if the gold tickets that you're getting in those little in your things or whatever, they're the same ones for everything? Like, okay, cool, I want to be able to play Sanctum Showdown. That's it. That's it. You put them. They work for everything. That's the answer.
Imagine those tickets just being like vouchers, game mode vouchers.
Yeah, which you run out of Conquest.
You run out of bubs, and then you use one of the vouchers, and you get more bubs. Oh, you did it! You solved it, man! I hope someone's listening. That's such a great idea.
No one listens to this, unfortunately. Sorry.
Nobody listens.
It's unfortunate.
Nobody listens.
It's on the bright side. Did you see the thing they're doing for the next for Sanctum Showdown, where they said that they are not releasing a new card because they want people to catch up?
That's nice.
Yeah, they're putting in case you didn't know, there's gonna be a seasonal series 4-pack, basically where a new card would be. And they said a new series 4 card will not be released with this, with the goal being to help players catch up on their collections.
It's also worth noting that this season has less cards being released than prior seasons, like significantly less cards, right? Most seasons had like what, 12 or 13? No, I haven't seen the data mines yet. I'm not a huge data mine enjoyer. I gotta be honest with you. I don't like data mines.
Oh, well then never mind. I won't tell you that there were 3 different dragon-related cards that all had art and stuff like that seemed like they were potentially going to release this season.
Sweet.
I'm not telling you that. I'm not telling you that. No.
You're not telling me that. It's fair. You did not tell me that, so
no, I would never.
All is fair in love and data mines. But not my dance. I got to tell you, thank you so much for joining. This was so fun. This was by far one of my favorite Snapchats we've done in a while. Very nice to finally get you on. And as you can see, this is why I was so impressed with your casting and everything you've done. Not only incredibly articulate, very knowledgeable, and also a ton of fun to talk to and listen to as well. Where can we find you? Because we got you casting and stuff like that. But like, what about your social? I know you're a streamer, so why don't you shout that out for us?
It's a really difficult one to remember if you haven't seen it below me the whole time. It's just Notmydance. No spaces, nothing like that. It's just Notmydance. And you'll find me playing Marvel Snap. You'll find videos over on my YouTube channel about Marvel Snap. And I still do variety stuff because I like playing games that I think are fun and people can enjoy multiple games. So I just go there if you want to have a good time, hang out. I'll post the decks that I really enjoy in particular on Twitter or X or whatever you call it. And I just like having fun wherever I am. And this was a very fun time. Thank you again for having me here. It was an absolute blast.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you on that next one.